I thought I'd take advantage of having both these machines outside together. I had to move my Trials Cub replica out the way in order to get this one out the shed to go and take a ride on it, and I thought I'd just discuss a few similarities and differences between the two actually. Last time, well, the first time that I rode this machine, among the comments about it, now we all know it's loud, was that someone, I think, said something along the lines of they couldn't bear the gearing on it, which seemed to be much lower than on that machine, when in actual fact in top gear they're both geared identical. They've both got 17 tooth gearbox sprockets driving into 54s on the rear, and they've both got 350 by 18 rear tyres. So in top gear at least, the gearing is identical. There is a difference in that I have the wide ratio cluster in my Trials Cub replica, which sort of lowers the first three gears relative to fourth gear, whereas we've got a close ratio gearbox in this one which raises the first three and brings them closer to top. But top gear themselves are actually the same on both machines. The other difference is I've got the 7:1 compression ratio in this one, standard Road Cub camshaft, and a 375 monoblock, Amel monoblock carburetor. This machine has the 9:1 high compression piston, the R camshaft, which has much greater lift and duration, and a 376 Amel monoblock carburetor, which is quite a bit larger than the other one. And on the latest ride, the second ride on this machine, which I took earlier today, Boxing Day, I'm still sort of running the engine in, but I was able to tell, I took it up to a point where it felt like we were coming into some sort of power band and it was going to get going, but I want to get a few more miles on it before I start doing things like that. And I think as the sort of revs build up and we go into the higher end of the rev range, this one would probably keep going and obviously leave this one for dead. But on the hill, going up Bantam Hill, this one didn't seem to have the same sort of thump as that one, obviously, which doesn't surprise me at all. And that's not down to the compression ratio, that's down to the camshaft. But the I've got my Sports Cub replica, the blue and white one, which runs a 9:1 compression ratio with a standard camshaft. So there's all sorts of combinations and possibilities with these Tiger Cubs. I also commented on the ride that the fuel tank filler cap was leaking, and it actually left a mess all over the paintwork on the tank. The paintwork's not brilliant anyway, but I managed to polish most of it out. But unfortunately, while I was sort of checking the machine over, I also saw petrol dripping down onto the engine, and when I looked, it became obvious that the fuel tank has got a leak, either a pinhole or a split or something. So I've siphoned the fuel out. There's only a tiny bit left in it, if that now, and I think the dripping has just about stopped. But the fuel tank's going to have to come off. I've got other fuel tanks. I haven't got any other slim fuel tanks like the old Sports and Trials and Scrambles Cubs use, like this. But I've got more of the ordinary Road Cub tanks, and the sort of 1959 on tanks that some Sports Cubs also used. I've got a few of those, although I regard them as a bit ugly. So I'm probably going to put the earlier sort of 57, 58 style tank on it, which I've got a few of those as well, which side on at least looks pretty similar to this, or what I've got on my little 16-inch wheeled 1958 Cub, although the tank is considerably wider. Basically, side on they look the same as this. You can have these type badges on them, or the 58s had mouth organ badges. Just like if you imagine this tank with perhaps about a 4-inch extra wide piece in the middle, that's basically what you got. But I'm not short of fuel tanks, so it's not going to be too much of an inconvenience, but I'll have to have a look at this one and see what's wrong with it and see what I can do with it. I'm reluctant to use a sealant. I think I'd rather braze it or weld it if I can. Basically, we've done that here before, me and my brother. Just sort of fill the fuel tank with water, stick it in a barrel full of water, and just sort of expose the area that you want to work on and weld at the time. And that seemed to work once before for us, so might be doing something like that again. But like I say, it's no immediate worry because I've got other tanks. But now I'm going to wheel the bike back into the workshop and put things away, because it is Boxing Day after all. But I just thought while they were both outside, we'd have a quick look at them and do a quick comparison. And there they both are anyway, the Scrambles Cub replica and the Trials Cub replica. Both very similar and very different in equal measure.